Human Resource Annual Staff
That's gonna
Report.
bring me right there. Then we'll move on with the purple. Okay.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mr. Chambers. On behalf of the Human Resource Department, tonight I'm here to present our annual staffing report. And most of the information that you'll hear tonight talks about our data from 17-18 school years, so that's the information we'll be presenting. Tonight, as I present this information to you, I want you to picture a scenario in your head. I'd like for you to think of yourself as a teacher, either an experienced teacher or first-year teacher wanting to start a career in a district. As you think about this, I would like you to think about the things I share with you tonight to see if we would be able to convince you to be either hired and into our district or remain in our district, to retain your presence in our district. As I share the information from our findings, I'm going to base it on research and information from our district as well as from national research. So the first thing I like to share with you is the teacher and supply demand. Every year, TEA provides us with a projection of what the school year is going to look like in the future. And from the last year data, what it looked like is where we're going to have some deficits in our teachers. As you can see, there's a region and there's a state. In the region, you can see that there are going to be 14,749 teachers that were needed to be hired, Region 4 area. And for the state, you can see the 64,390. Another piece of information I'd like you to pay attention to is the turnover rate. If you look at the turnover rate for the state, it's at 17.2, and the state is at 16.4. In other words, that means that percentage of teachers are leaving the district or leaving the profession. So one of the other pieces of information as we go through this, one of the things that you need to keep in mind that when you're in a high need school, like many of our schools in Alief, the percentages may be bigger or larger. One thing we're very proud of was what we look like in the region. As I stated before, this is Region 4. If you look at the turnover rates, you can see that Alief is at 12.5. If you look at that in comparison to districts that mirror us, for example, like Aldine at 18.4, Fort Bend at 15.5, Goose Creek, you can see that they are at 14.5. So some of the districts with the same kinds of needs look a little different than we do. We have a better retention rate. And so that's something I'd like you to pay attention to as we go through this and share some of the initiatives that we're taking to hopefully increase that or make that a better retention rate. As you may know, one of the efforts that we had last year was how can we recruit and make sure that people are hearing about the good things that we're doing. So we had a committee come together and we found some things that we highlighted last year in our website. Some of the things that we talked about were our staff pay and our benefits, staff development. One of the things that we hear from our teachers in our exit surveys is our staff development as number one, that they are very appreciative about the efforts that we make in how we train our teachers. And then the third thing that came out in our exit surveys was the relationships that were built among our staff members and our teachers and our students. So those were the things that they mentioned that they found unique in Alief. The other thing that we noted is that we felt as we got to know our employees, they communicated to us that it was very important that if they could be ambassadors for us. So we encouraged them to share the good things that are happening and help us recruit in our recruiting efforts. And what we found is that we get quality hires because they're people that they know and that they recruit to us. We found that it maintains our culture, our family, and the way we want Alief to be because they had the same characteristics, the same ethics, the same goals. And it also built a family mindset of family. They wanted to be part of the family. So what you may or may not know is that we do offer a stipend to teachers who do recruit. So if they find somebody that they feel like we would be beneficial in hiring, we offer a $500 stipend to those teachers to help us recruit some of these strong teachers. The state also provides what areas are going to be shortage areas. As you can see for the 17-18 school year, there are the areas that we see in our district. There's a bilingual ESL shortage, CTE, computer science, ESL, tech app, math, and special ed. As you can see this year, science was not a shortage area. One of the things that we do with our shortage areas, we do provide stipends to the individuals based on our shortages. You may be asking what causes these shortages. many things, factors that we cannot control, such as people in the math and computer science world, CTE world. They find higher paying jobs outside of education, so it's very difficult to recruit those people. So for those reasons, we have to find innovative ways to recruit them so that they can come work in the school district. But those are the shortages for the state of Texas. One of the things that I do want to share with you, I mentioned earlier, research states that high poverty schools experience a substantial higher rate of turnover rate. But one thing I do want to share with you about Alief, if you look up there, you can see from 0 to 34% free and reduced lunch, that's how they rate poverty in the school. Their total number is at 12.8 of a retention rate. Alief ISD is at 12.5. So even with the research, our district is retaining teachers better than even many of the districts and our counterparts. So what the research says, what is it that is making teachers leave, or why aren't we able to keep them? So the research says if you're going to be hiring people, these are the things that you need to keep in mind. Focus the needs on the new teachers. So one of the things that we do for our district, we do a mentor program. Our teachers are, once they're hired, they get a mentor for a full year. A mentor teacher is provided a stipend to coach them, to provide support to them, to attend meetings with them, to help them go into their classrooms and observe, to give them some good teaching techniques. Patricia Brady does a beautiful job with this, and she oversees that program. We focus on training for all of our teachers, so that all of our teachers feel more supported and able to work and do the things that they need to do in the classroom. We provide opportunities, and research shows this, for leadership, teacher leaders. Many times teachers find that they stay in a role, they want to be teachers, but there are not a whole lot of roles out there that can allow them to teach and be leaders as well. Alief is unique in that we have specialists, we have teacher leaders on the campus that are able to still teach, but also be a leader. We create opportunities for teachers to have planning time together. That empowers teachers because they're able to share their craft, they're able to share their skill set. And then the last thing is that we also, we try to find out what's going on in the school. So we do make a big effort to get feedback from our staff. Mr. Chambers has a STAT committee, which is the Superintendent's Advisory Council. They're a representative of the district. We get teachers from all over the district, and we ask questions of them. What can we do to do a better job of recruiting and a better job of retaining? The other thing is we do an exit survey, so we can hear back from our teachers and our staff members as why is it that you chose to leave the district. Our current teacher demographics, one of the things I want to point out to you is that as the research shows, a lot of the teachers that are leaving either the career or the campus is because of happens in the early years. So if you look at that chart, you can see from 0 to 5, we have 35% of the teachers leaving Alief are new teachers. And that saddens us because we spend so much of our time and our money training these teachers. So one of our efforts is we make sure that we provide these people with mentors. We try to reach out to these teachers to find how can we support you so that we can have you stay in Alief. So as you can see, throughout the 0 to 5, that's our biggest group that leave the district.
Elizabeth, just one point that she doesn't have up there is, we just got a report not too long ago that 36% of every teacher in the state of Texas, pre-K to 12th grade, is between years 1 and 5 years experience. So over a third of every classroom teacher in Texas. And that is obviously a growing trend, and it's a growing concern. Not because teachers from 0 to 5 can't teach, but we all know an entire building cannot be made up of 0 to 5 year teachers, so or specific content areas. Anyway, just to put it in state perspective of what she's telling me about our district, everyone is about what she's showing in terms of the experience level.
Has that been the trend for years?
Yeah.
You know, or how many years has it been going on? Or
The reason I'm expressing my mind, I'm getting into a speech where I'm talking about some of this from a state perspective comparatively. And if you go back and look at the last 10 years, go back to the 2007-2008 school year, at that time it was like 22-23% from 0 to 5, and every year it was increased. The only year it did not increase was in 2010-2011 when the budget cuts took place and no one was hiring anybody. But other than that, and then after that, it actually grew 3 percentage points to make up for lost time almost. So the last 2 years it's taken kind of a trajectory of gradual growth, and in the last 2 years it's spiked even more. And the numbers she gave you earlier with teacher shortage in the state, teacher shortage in content areas, that is across all content areas, is across the board. And it's even more recognizable in your bilingual ASL, foreign language courses as well as your math and science. The people talk about the train wreck, the teacher shortage train wreck, it's wrecked. It's been wrecked. And now we're just trying to, try to find.
And so one of the things that we try to do, obviously, is because these are new teachers, and many of these new teachers come to us out of programs where they've never been teaching, like ACP programs, that their capacity to be a good teacher is there, but yet they haven't had the experience. So we have to be creative in how we're going to, one, prepare our teachers, because one of the reasons they say they leave is because of lack of support. So we have to find ways to prepare these teachers in a different way than what we used to. And I'll be sharing that throughout our presentation. But the other thing I wanted you to note up here is you will look at the years of experience in Alief. And the reason why we point that out, because that's very important to us. We have a certain way that we do our staff development, that every teacher will receive certain kinds of pieces of staff development, and we have a plan for every teacher. So it's very important for us to make sure that we keep our current teachers, because they've already been given the staff development and they have the knowledge and they have the capacity to do well with our students because we've worked with them for so long. So it's very important for us to not only recruit them, but once we get them, we want to keep them.
Do you think a part of that is because of our salaries and our benefits package? Is that 45%? Because if we didn't have such a great, if we would have high salary, invest in the city and even our benefits package, I could imagine what our numbers would be on the 0 to 5. It would be less.
I do think that's a big part of it, and as I've been doing a whole lot of research on this, that's just one piece. And to tell you the truth, the bigger piece is how they feel supported, how they feel the relationships they have with their coworkers, with their students. It's all about, again, the meaningful work that they do. They want to feel valued, they want to feel purpose. The payment that we give them, as well as the relationships they build within the community and with their co-workers and their supervisors and their students. So it's a little bit of everything, and I'll explain a little bit more of that in a minute. So one thing that's important to notice, just as Mr. Chambers mentioned, many of the teachers that are resigning, we get them trained, and then they leave. It's kind of like a revolving door. If you look up there, teachers' years of experience in education from last year's data, we had 52% of our teachers from 0 to 5 years leave. So what that says to our instruction department is train them, train them, train them, and now they go, and they're very well trained, and then they either go somewhere else or to a different profession. So our goal is to make sure we keep them here.
The majority are changing professions. It's staggering. It's staggering. Because if that weren't happening, then the teachers who were leaving one district would be going somewhere else, which would kind of balance the state. The state, we're growing, actually, believe it or not, we're growing the state actually. But it's a phenomenon that, it's not a phenomenon, it's an actual fact. We know what's happening. But it's the majority of people going out of profession. And as long as the economy is moving forward, and as long as there's jobs in the private sector, particularly in the manual trades and in some of the areas in which math and science majors don't necessarily have to be an engineer, but they can work in the petrochem industry. You can't compete.
In just a few minutes, I'm going to share what the research says, why they choose to leave, and just as Mr. Chambers mentioned, part of it's leaving for that reason, but it's the things that we were requiring them to do because the state requires us to have them do that, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. So as you can see, as we look at the resignations, it's our young teachers that are inexperienced teachers that we build them and we get them ready for our kiddos, and then they leave us. And so that's something I know the instruction department's working very hard in getting them prepared for our students. So we're really working at trying to have conversations with people. And currently we're working on a new exit survey that's going to ask more questions. I'm working with the public relations department to find out exactly why, and then we're going to do some follow-up calls. So our new teacher demographics, just to share with you that we do have about 40% of our new teachers from an ACP program, and 60% of our teachers are traditional. ACP programs are awesome and great. However, one thing that they do lack is that they don't allow them to have the experiences that they get through the traditional. So the school district's required to, we feel like we need to allow them to do that because they're at a disadvantage that they come into the schools if they haven't been working around children. and they haven't had that exposure. So one of the things that we try very hard is making sure that we give those ACP teachers opportunities to have good mentors, co-teaching, those types of things. But as you can see, that's the data for our district. 40% are ACP new hires and 60% from the traditional. Both are excellent teachers. Some require different kinds of things. Some of the things that we've been doing, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about recruiting and really share a lot more about the retention piece. But some of our recruiting efforts, and many of these things did come from our advisory committees, the feedback that we asked them to provide us. So we attend job fairs, but this year and in the past, we've hosted more job fairs than what we've done in the past. This year we did our ancillary job fair, which allowed us to do one in the summer for local people around the area, and that was able to help us hire for our custodial staff, transportation, crossing guards, our family engagement, our daycare. So we were able to get some of our parents that wanted to work with us come and work with us. So we did do that. We had one today for our bus drivers as well, because we tend to have a shortage in bus drivers. So we did have one for there. And then this year we also had local people contact us, and we attended their job fairs, either at churches or those type things. So we attended those in hopes that we can grab some of those people as well. The other thing that we do is university partnerships and student teachers. That's a traditional thing that we've always done. We've added to our university partnerships, and so we have some great relationships with different universities, and we've added to that. Of course, our competitive teacher pay, that's something that we've always advertised, and I think the bigger part of that, again, is from the good, strong work that I give to Mr. Woods in the Department for Benefits. That's what really sells us, is our benefits piece, so we appreciate that. One of the things, again, we've comprised this committee, our HR advisory committee, of all types of people, with teachers, paraprofessionals, and different people to help give us information that we need to know about to help recruit people. We go, each of our directors go out to the campuses and they meet with the administrators and they have campus talks. Tell me what we need, what should we do differently, how do we need to support you, what kinds of teachers should we be getting. We also do communication plan. We work with our communication department. The committee recommended that we put more things on the website that showcased Alief. So we have some videos of our teachers on there. We have wellness videos on there. So we are trying to showcase Alief in a different way. So if you take a look at our website, it looks a little differently than it did a year ago. And then the third thing, or the last thing that I want to share with you, is that we did do several different partnerships that are outside of what we normally do, and this, I think, is going to be a huge asset to our district. We're currently working with Relay, and you've heard me talk to them before, but Relay is a program that takes our employees that are currently have a bachelor's degree, and we hire them as an intern, which they work in the paraprofessional. A little while ago, you asked about how do we support those teachers with extra kiddos in the classroom? So we intentionally put those types of people into those classrooms that are a little bit over the number at 23 or 24, for example, in our dual language program. So we intentionally put those interns in those classrooms so that there's 2 people in there, and that intern is getting quality instruction about how to be a teacher. And I went out to visit them to say, okay, how's it going now? There's nobody around here to tell us what it should look like. Tell me how you feel. Do you feel better prepared than you would if you just walked into a classroom through ACP? The comments that came from them were amazing. They said that as they learn a skill set, for example, they had to learn how to do circle time. They practiced it with a week with a teacher. They watched the teacher. The next week they were responsible for that. And the following week they had to teach math, so they had circle time and math. So they gradually gained more parts of the lesson that they're able to teach, and then constantly getting feedback from either the mentor teacher or from the relay person that comes in to support them. So it's a great program, and we're working with them to see what we can do more in the future. Good Reason Houston, we mentioned that to you. It's teachforhouston.org, where it's a 2-piece to that. We're going to be able to recruit. It's a platform for communication that we could be recruiting teachers. So what they've asked us to do for Good Reason Houston, they've asked us to provide them with a teacher ambassador that will speak on behalf of Alief. So we've asked Robin Toy, he's accepted that, and he's going to be our ambassador, and he's going to be on this website that's going to be statewide and sharing all the good things that we're doing in Alief. There are public service awareness, so they're going to be putting billboards out there for us. They're going to be putting things out on the websites. They're a digital recruiting platform, which means that they're going to be a site where individuals that are interested in teaching can contact this site, and there's going to be a teacher on the other, and it may be some of our teachers. There's going to be a teacher answering questions to people that want to become teachers, so it's kind of an active site. And then the last part is they're gonna do on-the-ground activities with our TAFE students. So people that want to become teachers they're gonna come to meet with our TAFE students and work with them and help them get a plan to follow a pathway to become a teacher. And then, of course, the last thing we did, last year we started working really strongly with our TAFE group. This year we're continuing that partnership. We'll be going in November they're gonna have a competition. We'll be going there, we're gonna do practice interviews with them, scoring them, helping them through that, but we're still continuing that relationship. So what does the research say? Research says that teacher preparation and support, that will help your teachers want to stay. If we give that kind of support, that's going to be a better outcome for us. That if we put a lot up front, then we'll have better results. School leadership. Teachers who report lack of school leadership, there's going to be a turnover. So we work very strongly with our administrators to look at their culture climate survey so that there's a good relationship between them. And then the third thing, again, is the compensation, just as you mentioned, Mr. Moreno. Compensation is a big motivator for us. So why do the teachers leave? So when the research came out, this is nationwide, this is from the Learning Policy Institute from 2017, and just as Mr. Chambers mentioned earlier, they either leave the profession or the campus. 55% of the people say that they're dissatisfied and they leave the profession altogether. And those people are going to jobs outside of education. If they're dissatisfied with the campus, they're going to other places, but it's a 66% are saying that's their number one reason for leaving. And so what does that mean? So I dug deeper to say, what are you dissatisfied? And what the research says, number one, assessment and accountability. That we're putting all of these requirements on testing and accountability that they feel like they can't teach, that they have to teach based on the test and that they can't teach. And this is nationwide and this is statewide, not just Alief. Administrative issues, and I'll explain that in just a second. Dissatisfaction with teaching career and then with the working conditions. So I'm going to explain and define what each of those means so that you have a better understanding of each of those. So when they talk about administrative issues, they're talking about there's too many intrusions that they, as they're teaching, they have to stop and go take pictures, or they have to stop and go to the library, that they don't have full-time teaching. Discipline issues, they feel that they can't teach because they're making, and this is statewide, nationwide, that there are discipline issues that are not being handled. Not enough autonomy because of the testing, they have to teach a certain way. Lack of influence on policies and procedures and practices because of the things that we have in place. The job description, again, some duties, meetings, required events, it's not just teaching anymore, so we've got to find ways to support them. And then working conditions such as lack of resources, and then some of the teachers in this survey indicated that if they're at a high needs campus, they feel like they're being overwhelmed and being compensated the same as people in not as high needs. So that was a reason that they left that campus to go to another campus. So those are things that made me aware that those are things that we need to look at in the future. How can we help support those people? So in closing, some of the things that were suggested through the research or through our exit surveys or through our committees, these are the things that we found out that we need to do. We need to give people a voice. We need to build relationships with our staff, know our staff, proactively hire to ensure the best fit. That's something we've learned even more recently. Sometimes it's task to talent, making sure you have the right teacher at the right campus. Teachers can be very successful at different types of campuses, and we as administrators need to make sure we're putting them in the right place and in the right grade level. Clarify expectations and motivate the employees, provide an effective mentor program, which we're constantly working on. The leader's road to get people to where they want to be, that's really with T-Test, we've really taken that role where there's conversations between the employee and the administrator. Create trust. And then one of the things they mentioned was get rid of the crazy behaviors, get all the distractions. If people are misbehaving, we don't want them. And that's what teachers are saying about other teachers. Consistency in management, if they ask a question of one administrator, they want the same answer. Celebrations, setting goals with staff, coaching, helping us get better in our career, and then determining from our employees what motivates them so that we can reward them in the way that they want to be rewarded. And then obviously the last thing was compensate fairly. So one of the things I do want to share with you is that we are looking at our compensation. Each year we do this, but we are looking at our compensation to make sure that we are paying people for the work that they are doing. And as you can see, our salary is one of the highest salaries. I do not have the comparisons of the benefits. Once I put that piece on there, I will send that out to you because that's really what puts us over the top in our compensation. So that's all I have for you tonight. Do I have any questions?
I'm sorry, forgive me, I'm looking at the data and it's kind of funny. So thank you so very much. Any questions, anyone?
I have a couple of questions, or actually, great presentation, a lot of information. Kind of go back to our accountability, issues and so forth, and I see you identified in several slides, top 3 issues, administration,
Come on now.
our campus leadership, and so forth. Can you go back to the slides on, it was those top 3, it was like the reasons why people leave.
Okay, that's nationwide, that one?
No, it's
Right
That's
there.
it.
So teacher preparation support, I think we, doing great. I think our professional development is like top of the line in the city. People come to us, and I hate that people leave, or teachers leave and go other places, but at least we're educating them to be better teachers and are helping students statewide or even nationwide. So I'm kind of okay with that if they have to leave, and better to still help with the children. School leadership. This is the thing, I understand it was identified here, the next slide, the next 2 slides. And I know y'all are working on it, and every year it seems like we're working on that, but I'd like to see a plan
Come on now.
of what's happening. It kind of goes back to accountability, my question before, we know what we're doing, what's new that we're doing now that's gonna help with that? And so, I mean, it's part of our fault, we're not, in some ways, holding our superintendent accountable, and again, they're not holding administration, the top administration, which isn't now holding the campus administration.
So we have done something different based on Mr. Chambers' request. We have taken the climate survey information and disaggregated it, provided it to the area SUPs, so they are definitely, certainly working. We disaggregated it to every piece, like where is the issue coming from, based on the adult piece, and provided that to our area SUPs. They're definitely working with their campus administrators because they have that data to
She the
support
reason
that.
why they leave.
So is there a way that we can, I guess bottom line, is there a way we can get some sort of report by campus of what's happening, what issues they're finding out per
So
campus,
that's why she
and then
loves
what
it.
our areas are doing, what our district administration is doing, and obviously what you're doing, in order to help resolve that, because I think that's kind of going to a root. That's an issue that you identify in several categories, top 3 issues.
Again,
Compensation, we can't always control that. Teaching support, we're working on that, but at that part.
and again, I want to say to you, and I appreciate you sharing that this is nationwide, that's a nation issue as well, and so it's something I think everybody is dealing with those things, and we do pay attention to those top 3 things. We definitely look at each of those 3 things.
Right, and I'm not saying this is teachers, principals, and whole, I mean, they're doing phenomenal
Sure.
jobs, many of them working very hard, working, 24/7, I mean, they're just bringing their backs for these
Sure.
campuses, for their staff, and for the students. I understand that, but if we can, I just don't have a feel of what we're doing.
That's because we probably haven't given you a feel. But we have and she alluded to it, we have something extremely different that we've used in survey information and create some metrics to make some decisions about, based on, who's strong in certain areas, who's weak in certain areas, and we're utilizing that information and metrics to help grow these all programs, and it's going to include people in this building as well. But we just started this. Let me put it together in a way which we can explain it to you guys.
And part of it's coming from some of the training that we received in TASB training just recently, this last one. There's a lot of focus on accountability and asking the board members to not necessarily get in the weeds of it, of like, what the principals and staff doing day by day, but overseeing what the superintendent's doing and his staff, and also with down to the campus administration to see what they're doing. So that when, people come in and we get patient presentations, we get issues regarding some issues in campuses, we're like, oh, we understand that campus, this is what we're doing. This is the plan at this particular campus for these particular students, for this particular staff, this is what we're doing. And we can answer those questions. But right now, we're just statewide, nationwide, district-wide, we don't know.
She can blame.
That's just my opinion, I don't know how other
No,
board
you
members
you now.
We were gonna provide, I mean, I was gonna, just, what I just referred to, you were gonna get this, I was waiting on the staff.
You was gonna get it.
Time for the question. But we've got, and it's extremely fair, and I like the question, and I think from a governance perspective,
You was
I
gonna get it.
don't think this is a crossing, no, this is just in terms of what you're asking, and what we should deliver to you, to tell you what we're doing, and not doing, but.
Again, not that I can go in there and fix it, but that's what, you know.
Yeah,
that's what
somebody
does.
can.
Okay.
He said y'all was gonna get it.
No, I actually just wanted to piggyback on what, trustee Moreno said, just in regards to that, as I know in the past, we've talked about the climate survey and how it's being used. And so, just knowing and hearing about how you all are using that and how you're measuring it, is important, for us.
Sure.
And so I appreciate that you all do that and that you have it, and I know that there, previous ones were in the back. I believe what trustee Moreno is just asking for, it's just that measurement of how, here are our goals and how are we doing with meeting those goals?
Sure.
Because I believe that that's something that we, as the governing body, that's part of our role to oversee that and making sure that we're doing what we need to do on our end to support that. And
Well said. Thank you.
Let me just end by saying, I'm conflicted because I'm someone that fell into the ACP within the last 4 years, and I can pretty much say, yeah, in 5 years, I can understand why people, I really could. It's unfortunate. And these things, Mr. Moreno, I'm gonna agree with with Dr. Powell in saying that this is, the reason why I say that this is nationwide, because this is not just a conversation that I hear in Alief or wherever else I am. Anyone who's in education right now, this is not what it was when we went to school. This is not what it was when our children went to school. This is not. It's so far different now. And I could tell you from an ACP point of view, yes, people want good, strong leadership because
clean it
we
up.
have people coming from other industries who have a high expectation of what that leadership is going to do. And I would agree, we need to understand what that looks like for us. And I do try to pull myself back because it's a soft spot for me right now, it really is. But, and I say that because, as I was telling Mr. Superintendent Chambers, when you come out of industry, from corporate or any other industry, you expect there to be protocols and things to work a certain way. And it is shocking to find out, and I think that's why a lot of people say, oh no, I can't do this because it's so defined everywhere else, and in education right now, it seems to be all over the place. But that's why we have board members who care like they do to say, hey, if our employees are feeling like it's over the place, then it's our responsibility to not just compensate them.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's to, help encourage them to grow their careers because it's a large investment. It still is a large investment. It's not cheap to become a teacher. It's not.
Exactly.
So, but anyone else? So thank you so very much, and thank you guys for letting me say my piece. Thank you. Come on. Montgomery, come on.
Okay, good. Good evening, Board, Ms.